Well, good morning, good afternoon. This is Scott with ReadySquirrel.com. Today's article is What is a Bug Out Situation in Prepping? You can head over to ReadySquirrel.com if you want to read this article. You don't have to listen to me gab. Hope everybody's having a great day. Today is Tuesday. What is a bug out situation in prepping? The term bug out was first used by U.S. troops during World War II, but didn't become common military slang until the Korean War. Today, preppers and survivalists use them to describe prepping for and leaving a hazardous environment. Bug out situation, emergency preparedness. A bug out situation occurs when a hazardous environment or conditions unsafe to human life requires a quick escape on foot or in a vehicle to a safer location. Natural or man-made catastrophes such as hurricanes or civil unrest cause bug-out conditions. Bug-out, the evolution of the definition. The term bug-out originated in World War II and was carried over to the Korean War by veterans of the previous war. The World War II definition of bug-out meant to run away in a cowardly fashion. The Korean War definition was used to describe a hasty retreat from enemy forces or possible escape routes. Korean War, very interesting part of U.S. military history. They call it the Forgotten War. I had would he be a great uncle? It was my grandmother's brother. Yeah, so he was my great uncle. Always had issues. A lot of the guys that came back from the Korean War were had what I'm guessing was PTSD. It was a lot different than what was going on in World War II. There was a lot of hand-to-hand combat. We basically got our butts handed to us. Our troops weren't properly equipped. They didn't have the right kind of clothing for cold weather. It was nasty. It was a nasty war. Today, preppers and survivalists define bug out as escaping a hazardous situation or condition like a natural or man-made disaster. How do preppers use the term bug out? Survivalists and preppers use the term pretty loosely to describe quite a few things beyond just bugging out and fleeing. Preparing for the bug out situation is a priority for most preppers. Here is a comprehensive list of how survivalists use the term bug out. I'm not sure if this is comprehensive. These are all the ones that I could think of, and basically all the terms that I could find doing my research. But if you guys can think of anything else, let me know in the comments down below. Again, number one, bug out. Leave your current location for a safer one. This could mean leaving your home, work, or an unsafe location in case of a natural disaster. If you want to go over to the article on ReadySquirrel.com, you can actually click this link, and that is FEMA. That is a FEMA link that discusses, I think it's a .gov website, that discusses all the possible natural and man-made disasters. There's quite a list of them. A bug-out plan. So another use of the term bug-out plan, or emergency preparedness plan. Prepper's plan for bug-out situation. This is known as emergency preparedness plan. The plan includes the following: set up emergency alerts and warnings. So getting notified via your cell phone when alerts actually come out. Kind of the same thing as an Amber Alert or something like that, but actually more geared towards things like national emergencies and weather. Shelter plan, evacuation route, a communication plan, an emergency preparedness kit, bug in, bug out gear. Learn how to put together your comprehensive bug out plan by visiting ready.gov on that link on the website. Number three, a bug out bag, an emergency backpack or portable container with enough gear and supplies to survive for 72 hours or longer. This go bag should be pre-packed and staged in a location for immediate extraction. Other terms for bug out bag: bob, grab bag, or a go bag. This isn't to be confused with EDC. There's a ton of different terms there. An EDC is your everyday carry. That's something that you want to always have on you no matter where you go. Bug out gear, survival gear, and food pre-packed in a go bag, also known as a bug out bag, for leaving a hazardous area immediately. Top 17 pieces of gear in a go bag or a bug out bag. When I think about a go bag, and there's a million different articles out there. There's a million different takes on it. When I think of a bug out bag, I think non-tactical look. I think ultralight, high speed, low drag. I know what it's like to hike, 14 or 15 miles with a 50, 60 pound pack. And I probably couldn't do that now, at least not in heavy terrain. And I think the average American would have a hard time going 10 to 15 miles with a 50, 60 pound pack. I recently saw a video. The guy was he was pretty high profile. He sells a lot of stuff online and stuff, but he was talking about how the 20% of your body weight or less is a joke. There's no proof on that. There is actually an Army study on what carrying heavy packs does to your body, and the end result is you can become immobile if you're carrying too much weight and you don't have the physical ability to do so, and it's huge on morale. I mean, it's huge on morale. So what's my point? My brain says everything needs to be as lightweight as possible, almost like you're doing you're planning for a long-term trek on, say, the Appalachian Trail. Like the thru hikers, this isn't 100%, but I would say a majority of them end up being at least somewhat ultralight, and they probably 99%, all of them would be ultralight if they could afford all of the gear. So that is an issue when you go ultralight, is the light effective gear is going to cost you a lot more. But it's something you can plan for, right? Okay, so 17 pieces of gear in a go bag or bug out bag. The bag doesn't look tactical. It can't look overly tactical, or I suggest that it not. You don't really want to look military, and I know that's hard because we all want to dress tactically. You want multiple pockets for storage, something that's easy to use in the field. I suggest avoiding bags with one large compartment, as your gear will fall out of the bag every time you remove an item. If you're going to go with a large single compartment, I suggest that you get like small ditty bags and you break all your gear up, maybe color code it. That's a good way to do it, so you know where stuff is. Otherwise, if you just throw everything in that central compartment, you're going to go to unzip the bag and then everything's going to fall out. It's a pain in the butt. You're going to end up losing stuff that way too, I think. So I guess that's redundant, but try to compartmentalize gear so you know where everything's located if you need it. So 17 pieces of gear. Number 2, fire starting kit. I know a lot of us want to go rogue, survival man, have a ferro rod. I suggest you have a ferro rod, but I also suggest that you have something like a Bic lighter and some man-made tinder, to make for ease of fire starting. You don't want to have to start, if you're not doing this on a regular basis, especially if you're not practicing bushcraft and stuff like that, you don't want to have to depend on a ferro rod when it's raining sideways and it's 45 degrees out. Shelter kit, something to sleep under like a military poncho, something to sleep on like a poncho liner, and something to sleep in like a Gore-Tex bivy. A bivy is basically it's like a sleeping bag, but it's more like a shell, just to keep the rain off you. Item number 4, paracord for shelter ridgeline. That's where you run the ridgeline from tree to tree. Then you can make different tarps out of that one ridgeline, different configurations. Number 5, headlamp. Number 6, gloves. Number 7, 3-layer clothing system. I recently did an article on that. There's a link here. Lightweight clothes for worst case climate scenario, including base layer, quick drying with wicking action to move sweat away from your body. If you don't move the sweat away from your body, especially if you're in a super cold environment, you have a really good chance of getting hypothermia. Mid layer to maintain your body heat. An outer shell which protects you from wind and rain, but you also want that outer shell to you want it to breathe, so you want it to let your perspiration out but keep out the outside wind and moisture. Spare socks, quick dry. I would get really good socks. I would get like hiking grade socks for your spares. Gotta keep your feet dry. Water filter, water purification tablets, and then you can also have the option to boil in stainless container. You want to have multiple ways to do one thing, like you want to have more than one blade. You want to have more than one way to start fire. You want to have more than one way to clean water in case one of your methods fails. Number 9, single-walled stainless steel container. This is not a thermos. This is something that you can actually put on direct heat. You can cook food in it. You can boil water in it. First aid or trauma kit. What kind of first aid kit you carry is going to depend on your skill set. If you want a full-blown trauma kit, you have to know how to use it. Pre-made ration that doesn't require cooking. High calorie and lightweight or freeze-dried food. I only suggest doing freeze-dried food. If water is readily available, that's the case. There's going to be times, especially in bug-out situations, shit hits a fan, where you don't want to start a fire because you don't want people to see where you're at. So it's probably better to stick with no cook foods like those lifeboat foods or some of the really super high calorie bars. Navigation, you want a compass, you want a map, you want your GPS, possibly your cell phone. You want a survival knife. If you know how to use it, that's probably the most important tool. It's redundant, it's cliche, and it's the truth. Just with a survival knife, you can make with a survival knife and a ferro rod and a skill set, there's almost nothing that you can't make. Multi-tool, that's going to have your backup blade on there in case you snap your survival knife. It's going to have, depending on which unit you can get one with pliers, again, backup blade. You can get one with a serrated edge. You can get one with scissors. Self-defense, I'm going to let you decide what that means. Ziploc bags, it's just a good idea to have Ziploc bags. They keep things dry. If you find some foraged items, you can throw them in a Ziploc, throw them in your pack, and you can eat them later. And baby wipes or disinfecting wipes. There's a thing called monkey butt. Like if you're going to the bathroom and stuff in the field, it's just a good idea to be able to stay super clean and to be able to stay fresh so you don't get chafing, bacteria, and discomfort. Tip pack weight, the lighter the better. Shouldn't exceed 20% of your body weight, especially have a long distance to travel on foot. Don't take my word for it. If you weigh 180 pounds, pack a 60-pound bag, go out on a flat trail somewhere around your house, hike 5 miles, and see how you feel. That's not to say there aren't people out there that are young and in super good shape that can't do that, but even when you're young and in good shape, it still can cause neck and back problems. So test your pack before you use it. Tip: 1 is none and 2 is 1. Try to have backup gear or gear with multiple uses. For example, pack a survival knife and have a knife blade in your multi-tool. If one breaks, you still have a knife. Have multiple ways to clean water, start a fire, etc. 5th, bug out definition, bug out location. This is where you're going when you leave a hazardous environment. The location might be an off-grid cabin, your aunt's house, a hotel, or a tent in the woods. You want to try to somewhat plan for this ahead of time if you can. If you can't plan ahead, a bug out location is a safe location. That's basically all it is. It could be a location 5 miles from the hazard. You pitch a tent, you feel safe in the woods. That's your bug out location, at least for the time being. If you're going to plan it, there's 7 traits of a good bug out location. There's probably more than 7, but this is just a general overview. If you're planning to purchase land for a bug out location, look at these 7 traits. Security, you want to be able to defend the location. Exit routes, you want to be able to easily exit in case you need to bug out again. You want a hidden or camouflaged area deep in the woods and not easily seen from roadways. Ideally, you'd have a natural water source or a punched water well. If you've got a place up in, if you've got a place in the mountains in, say, Arizona, New Mexico, or one of those places where water is not readily available, then you're going to want to have storage in place, water catchment. You got to have something. You got to have water. Hygiene and sanitation. Location allow you to dispose of bodily waste and keep your body and gear clean. If you can afford it, consider installing a septic system. And your bug out location should be the appropriate shelter for all seasons. So let's say you've got a cabin, a line shack in the mountains in New Mexico, and it's 100 degrees in July, and it's I don't know, 10 degrees in the middle of winter, snowing sideways. You want a shelter that's gonna keep you safe in both situations. So that would look like what? Maybe you can open. You've got screens, excuse me, for the summer, so that you can get some breeze, and then you've got a wood burning stove that you can keep the location heated. This is one that I've seen a lot, and it's just going to get worse the more population we have. Do your due diligence when you're going out to look for a bug out location. You want to purchase land. You want to know HOA requirements, easements, mineral and water rights, and you want to know about your neighbors before purchasing land for a bug out location. So you go out and you buy 20 acres. In the back of your mind, you're going to put in a shooting range, but you haven't kind of checked out the area. You set your shooting range up there. You're out there shooting, and your next neighbor over calls the sheriff for gunfire. So that's those kind of things you want to think about. This information is provided by Craig Caldwell's book, Extreme Wilderness Survival. Bug out location number 6, or bug out vehicle, number 6. Vehicle of some type is used to leave your home or move away from a hazard or disaster. If you live in or around a high populated area like New York City, it's highly likely the roads will be closed, so have alternate plans for bugging out. I actually was reading FEMA's emergency preparedness plan information. They actually have contingencies for people walking out of an emergency. So authorities could actually tell you, leave your car here, get out, you're going to hump. That kind of brings up another issue. If your bug out gear is packed in a big container and it's all cans of Dinty-Moore stew and heavy stuff, that's not something you can hump out on foot. So you want to have in your bug out bag or your bug out contingency plan, you want to have the gear you need to hump it out, to walk out on foot. Okay, so 20 types of bug out vehicle. I couldn't think of anything but these 20: car, truck, motorcycle or dirt bike, ATV, motor scooter or moped, bicycle, electric vehicles with solar charging, wood gas vehicles, biodiesel, propane golf cart, utility trailer or camp trailer pulled by a motor vehicle. This would it would be better if you had this staged, like if you had already have a bug out location, you have the land picked out and paid for, or at least you got a mortgage on it, then you can set it up. That's why it's better to plan ahead for things like the bug out location and the bug out vehicles. If you plan ahead, then you don't have to deal with any of this other stuff. You wouldn't have to actually pull your utility trailer in this situation. So if you do get stopped, what you're going to be sleeping in, your shelter is already on location. You just have to walk to the location. RV, powerboat, sailboat, canoe, kayak, personal aircraft, ultralight, livestock, horse, cow, and cart, mule or donkey. Horses are high maintenance. They require grain. Cows sounds funny, but it might actually be a better choice for a shit hit the fan situation, because they can eat the grass that's around them. They don't need to be finished with grain. Hand carts, and of course your own 2 feet. Whatever vehicle you choose, don't forget to plan for emergency fuel storage or animal feed. Vehicles should be hardened against electromagnetic impulse, EMP, which can destroy or damage electronic circuitry. You can carry more weight in a bug out vehicle than hiking with a bug out bag, so I guess I got ahead of myself here. Know that you may be forced to walk at any time. Mix up your food and gear so you have lightweight options to pack out on foot. Bugging out on foot, number 7. Walking or hiking away from the hazard. Bugging out on foot may be required when roads are blocked or a mass of people leave a large city. Walking out of an emergency is in FEMA's contingency plan, so it should be in yours. Considerations for walking out or hiking out. Weight, one of the most important considerations when bugging out on foot. The average person will have difficulty hiking 10 miles with a pack that weighs less than 20% of their body weight. 20% or less is a suggested weight for a backpack for hiking. Ultralight backpacking. For inspiration on super lightweight gear and hiking, check out YouTube channels on hiking the Appalachian Trail. Test your load. Pack your bug out bag and take it out on the trail. This is the best way to get a dose of reality when it comes to the weight you can carry over distance. Your group. Consider who's bugging out with you. The weakest person is the lowest common denominator. Consider this when planning to get to the safe area. If you have small children, you may be carrying their gear too, so you have to plan for that. Bug out knife number 8. If you know how to use it, the bug out survival knife is the most important tool in your bug out bag. 13 uses for a bug out knife in a survival situation: skinning, debarking, batoning and splitting wood, cutting or slicing, carving, food preparation, carving tools for digging, fire starting, light prying, digging, to split plant fibers for rope and small line making, carve traps, cutting green saplings, and beaver cutting, beaver cutting is a method of, you'd probably want to use, besides a piece of wood that you'd want to use an axe for, or a hatchet, but you don't have one, so there's a way to do it with a knife. Check out Ready Squirrel's comprehensive article on picking the best type of survival knife. Click at that link there. Bug out shelter. This is a shelter that protects you from the worst possible climate in your chosen bug out location. Your bug out shelter is determined before a bug out situation occurs. Well, we hope it is. Otherwise, you're going to just be looking for a place to stay warm and out of the elements. 6 bug out shelter ideas. Make sure your shelter provides heat and protection from the worst weather at your chosen bug out location. Think insulation and methods to heat the space. An upgraded garden or utility shed. That seems to be pretty popular, especially if people are buying 20 acres off grid. They'll take out the module, or have somebody deliver one of the Home Depot or Lowe's utility sheds. Then you can go in there, you can insulate it, put in a small, very small wood burning stove, hook up with solar, get some water catchment going. Connex box, shipping container, cabin tent, camp trailer, line shack or plywood outbuilding, tiny buildings, tarp system, camping tent, covered hammock, bivy sack, sleeping roll, bushcraft shelter, built with natural materials. Tip: in an off-grid power out scenario, you need solar, a wood source, buried coal, or other dependable fuel for when the power grid is down. You may be roughing it, but you need to stay warm and eat for long-term survival. So have a power or fuel source you can depend on. Bug out kits number 10. I'm not a fan of this, but it's an option, especially if you're just getting started, to get an idea of what you want and what you like, and then you can go on and you can buy higher grade, more expensive gear. Bug out kits. There are hundreds of pre-made bug out kits that include the container and survival gear you need in a survival situation. In many cases, you'd be better off building your own bug out bag. You'll pay less and have the opportunity to pick higher quality gear. And a lot of these bug out kits have a lot of stuff in it that you're probably not going to ever use. It's just filler, basically. So they can say that there's 20 items or 100 items instead of 80 items. These kits are better than nothing. If you're too busy to research bug out gear, consider purchasing a pre-made kit. Bug out Altoids tin, number 11. It's basically just an Altoids tin. It's it's something that's kind of caught on. Empty Altoid tins, they're the little white mints, are used by preppers to store pre-assembled mini survival kits that pack as much useful survival gear in one location as possible. These are also useful for EDC or everyday carry kits. 27 items typically found in an Altoids bug out kit: a fishing kit with fishing line, hooks and fishing weights, band-aids, snare wire, fire starting, charring kit, Bic lighter, ferro rod. Everything you put in here, by the way, you want it to be like miniature. You want it to be small. You don't want to, well, I mean, it makes sense. You're not going to put a full-size flashlight in this kit, but paracord, cordage, wax hemp cord. This wax hemp cord is a good fire starter. Mini knife or mini multi-tool. Tweezers, cash, emergency contact numbers. I say cash because if you're in a power out situation and there are stores still open, they may only be taking cash because the credit card machines may be down. Emergency contact numbers. mini or nano flashlight. They're just like little teeny tiny flashlights. Super glue, that's for wound placement or for other uses, but mainly it's to seal wounds. Antiseptic wipes, razor blades, army style can opener, signaling mirror, tinfoil. Tinfoil can be used to cook and 100 other uses. Safety pins, Q-tips, alcohol wipe, aspirin, Tylenol, Pepto-Bismol pills for upset stomach, a couple pieces of hard candy, gum, salt packets, needle and thread, and pack, if you can get it in there, a gear repair kit for everything, for your backpack, for your clothes, etc. In case you get a rip or a tear, you can sew it up. Resources, if you haven't made an emergency plan or a bug out plan, here's a link to ready.gov, Federal Emergency Management Agency. You can go over there. It's pretty comprehensive. And let's see. Now, that's it for today, guys. I hope you're having a good day. I hope everybody's safe and sound. This is Scott with Ready Squirrel signing off. I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.